Can you see the PowerPoint? No?
Have you ever tried to share your screen before?
No, this is
okay. Go down to share screen icon at the bottom of the screen. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then click on whatever you want to share.
Okay. This one.
I started the recording right now. So, okay. Okay, James, why don't you start first? Okay, Chikara, I think you can just play with this share screen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then see how James deals with this session. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Or you can just work on it while we are having quite a short break after James. Okay. Okay, James. Let's welcome James from Thailand.
Okay, good day, everyone. Okay. Let me try to share my screen.
Oh, then I need to make you as a co-host.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. The passage that I gonna present to you today is Psalm chapter 19. The reason that I choose Psalm chapter 19 because of my name. Okay. As you know, my name is Hattakit in Thai. Okay, so the Hattakit in Thai means work of hand. And then my father chose my name from the Bible in Psalm chapter 19, verse 1. So that's why I got the name Hattakit. Yeah. So, okay. Let's start with the translation of Psalm chapter 19. Okay. Okay. The verse 1, start from verse 1. Okay. As you know, this is like the heading of the chapter. Okay. To the director, this is a Psalm of David. Okay. Then we go to verse 2. Okay. Okay. The heaven recounting glory of God. Okay. And then and work of his hand. Okay, sorry. This one will be the object. So, okay. The expense is declaring the work of his hand. So this is where my name comes from. The work of his hand. Okay. We go to verse 3. Sorry. Okay. Day by day, the speech outward will pour out, and night by night will declare. Okay, this one is declare knowledge. We go to, so I will deal with the syntactical issue here when we go by verse. Okay, so in here, this one, lamed here, usually the prefix Lamed, K or B or Vav alone will not take a dagesh, except this one, like, and also here, this is the exception that Lamed will have dagesh to strengthen the sound, but this strengthening is not doesn't have any significance. Okay, so we go to, and then we go to verse 4. Okay, this is ayin and ayin. So usually we translate this as is not or are not, but we don't have, like, we don't have a subject here, so we can we can translate it as there is or there are. So here there is, sorry, so ayin is no, so there is no speech and there is no words, and then their voice. Though this one we will look at this one after this one. This is the like the adjective adverb that express the negative meaning. Okay, so their voice is not heard. Okay, this is charma, as you know. Okay, we come to this one. Belly. Belly is kind of the poetry. Is poetry form of telling that this is negative. So, and this one used to negate the participle. We have participle here. Sharma, listening or heard. So this belly used to make this one negative. Then we continue to verse 5. Okay. So I will go over this quickly. Okay. Their line, okay, went forth in all the land, and okay, and in the end of the world. Oh, sorry, this is the object. So their line went forth in all the land, and David to the end of the world. Okay, and then next one. This is our main verb. Sim, put. Okay, so he put a tent for the sun. He put a tent for the sun in them, or we can say in them he put the tent for the sun. Okay. This Behem here. Okay, we will look at the syntactical issue here. This Behem actually the sun. Okay, when they refer to the sun, it will be sorry. When they refer to natural force, usually it will be in feminine terms. Like, so actually it should be Behen, which is feminine, but this one is Bahem. Yeah. So this one is most probably corrupted. Okay. Then we go to verse 6. Okay. Okay, and it's like a bridegroom is going forth from his chamber. Okay. This one is a prefix. Sorry. So he will rejoice like a strong man. This strong is adjective. Like a strong man to run the path. Okay. Yeah, like I said earlier, usually the gender of the noun, if its natural force will be described in feminine. But the sun, because this refers to the sun in verse 5. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the sun in verse 5 here. So that's why they use masculine form here. Yeah, in verse 6. Okay. Then we continue to verse 7. Okay. This one. It rising. Okay. This one is noun. Yeah, so it's maybe we can say the rising or rising as noun. Rising from end of the heavens and circuit or go around on their end. Okay, and then next sentence, and it's not okay, and because of this iron, so we can translate that, and there is nothing that be hidden from its heat. Okay, then we go to verse 8. So this is like another paragraph, another idea already separate. Verse 1 to verse 7 and verse 8, we continue with the new idea. Okay. The law of the Lord is complete or is perfect. Okay, and this is the consequence. Refreshing the soul. Okay, and then the testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Okay, here we have the syntactical issue here, pointed out by Jasonis. Okay. Yeah, he said that participle also exercise same government as a noun. Yeah, followed by the object of action in the genitive. Okay, so this one on this one, right? Yeah, so making wise simple. Okay, we continue to verse 9. Okay, this is the precept of the Lord is right. Okay, rejoicing the heart. Next one, commandment of the Lord is pure. Okay, causes eyes to shine. Yeah, this is plural. Okay. Then verse 10. Okay, the fear, this is ra'ah. The fear of the Lord is clean and standing to forever, or we can say endure forever. Judgment of the Lord is firm. They are righteous together. Yeah, this one we have the syntactical issues, the noun clause. But the predicate of noun clause may be a substantive or when the attribute receives a certain emphasis. Okay, this one, fear, is emphasized because of Adonai. Yeah, this is my idea. So I don't know if it's correct or not. Okay, then verse 11. Okay. The more, okay, this is more is here, more or much many graph here, but the more to be is more to be desired desire, then yeah, Dr. June mentioned that we can use mean not only like form, but we can use as a comparison also. So I choose this from, okay. Or then, sorry. Yeah, the more to be desired than goal, and then refine goal. Also here we have mean, which is like a comparison. Yeah, so we can use more here also. And sweeter than honey, and the honey that flowing from the comb. So I do the honeycomb here. Yeah. Okay, so we have another syntactical issue. Determination by means of the article. Okay, we have the article here, the, right? So the subject of this noun clause that we compare with is from verse 10. Okay, let's look at verse 10 again. Actually, it's not only from verse 10, it's from verse 7 to verse 10. Like the precept of the Lord, the commandment of the Lord, the fear of the Lord, the judgment of the Lord. So these are the subject, right? And then when we come to verse 11, so this the is like the subject of the noun clause. That means the things from verse 7 to verse 10 are more to be desired than gold, than refined gold, than and sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. So that is the idea of this one. Okay, then we continue to verse 12. Okay. Moreover, your servant is warned by them. Again, them here like is the those from verse 7 to 10. Okay. Moreover, your servant is warned by them. Yeah. And then say, in keeping them is a great reward. So them here, that are those things again, the commandment, the fear of the Lord, those things. Okay. Then we continue to verse 13. Okay, maybe this is another idea of the passage. This is next idea. Okay. Okay. Who will understand their error. Okay. Then, sorry. Okay. This participle is acting like a noun here. So this is like an object. So our main verb is here. Acquit me. Okay, acquit me. This is pronominal suffix. This is suffix. Acquit me from. This is hidden, but as a noun, it can translate as the hidden one, but with plural ideas. With plural ideas, so this is hidden ones with S. Yeah. And then verse 14. Okay. Come, moreover. Okay. Withhold or keep, withhold your servant from presumptuous. Okay. And then the next one here. This is like jussive. This is jussive. So I chose may here. Okay. May. Okay. Okay. May, when we have negative particle here, may they not rule in me or over me. Okay. And then next sentence. This suck is like time, referring to time. So maybe can translate as then. Okay. Then I will be complete. I will be free from so this adjective here, from great transgression. Okay. Okay. So there's a syntactical issue here that from question is that the perfect and the imperfect with verb consecutive. So when you see verb conversive or verb reversive, okay, this one is verb reversive because this one is affix. He said that the appearance of the verb conversive or verb reversive has something to do with shifting the tone of the story, the poetry. Yeah. So from here we can see like shifting the tone here. Let's see, I'm not sure about this. It's like asking God, and then I'm not sure. Okay, let's skip this one. I was thinking about this, but I cannot explain this well. Sorry. Okay, and we have another one here. Okay, verb. This one. Actually, this one here. It's time. It's a time. E-time. It's normally written. Okay, this one is abnormally written for this one. It should be this one here, but in this poem, the author wrote this as this one. Okay. Okay, then verse 15, the last one. Yeah, this is just see if again, haya. Okay. And the meaning of this haya is like because it comes with this is 3 MPL, so let them be. Let them be. And now let's take a look what are them here. Okay. Okay. This one, the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart. Okay. So the translation here is let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart, okay, be accepted or for acceptance. So these are the object of haya. Be the be the acceptance to your face, like in the present, your present. Okay. In the presence of who? The Lord, my rock and my redeemer. So this one is again participle that acting like a noun. So this one is redeemer. Okay, this is the translation and syntactical issues. Okay, do you have any questions?
Let me just tell you something here. You have consumed almost 20 minutes for this part, and it's good that you covered the analysis of the verbs and words and translation together with syntactical issues. Yes. I think that's good, but I think it might be better for you to just deal with some important verbs and nouns. Okay, you don't need to really go by every single words there. So okay. Probably for those who will need to present next time, just this is for you as a good tip. You don't need to really go one by one, okay, for the analysis and translation. Perhaps you can just put your own translation so that we will just understand what is really going on. So I think it's still good that you can highlight the translation of the verse. And if you have some important verbs or nouns and words that you have to analyze, then just to do it. So you don't need to really deal with every single words there. And at the same time, because when it comes to the general analysis of the verbs and translation, I don't really see any significance. So I want you to emphasize whatever is, whatever deserves our special attention. Okay. And then I'm kind of, I'm expecting, I want to hear more about textual criticism or syntactical issues or syntactical analysis that affect your insights. Okay, so that will be more effective. So it's okay, James. You are the first one, so you are our guinea pig. So you are helping us to know what to do. So I will consider it, and then I told you those who are presenting your homework in the beginning will receive some extra marks. So it's okay. But let's move on. I will just give you another 15 minutes to move on.
Okay. Okay. This is the paradigm that I created. So as I told you, verse 1 to verse 7 is one idea. Okay. It's about heavens telling the glory of God. Yeah. So here.
But did you put the titles?
Oh no, I didn't.
Actually, you have to do. So it's good that you could analyze that there are two main sections here. Then my question is, what is the main title of the first section? And then subordinate titles. So if you can do it, then we can easily see the outline and the main idea, right? So you are supposed to do it, okay? So even others, you need to include the titles of each clause. So main clause and subordinate clause. So you can just do it. All right.
Okay. I will just go over it quickly then. Okay. So
perhaps dealing with this specific syntactical analysis, it might be most helpful for you to let us know what are the main points for each section. Okay.
Yeah.
Since you didn't put the title.
Okay. So it has 3 sections here.
Mm-hmm.
The first section is maybe verse 2 to 7. Okay. Also, let's see the first section here. Okay. The first section, maybe I can come up with the title that the heavens are telling the glory of God. Okay. Okay. The heaven are telling the glory of God. They expense declaring the work of His hand. So in order for heaven to do this, okay, they do day by day, night by night. There is no speech. There is no words. Okay. Then the line went forth toward the earth. The words to the end of the earth. Yeah, and then in them he put a tent for the sun. Then shifting here, because he is maybe the line that he is talking is like or the sun, the sun ray is like a bridegroom. So yeah, he going out from his chamber, and then this is subordinate. He rejoicing and he ran his path. Okay. And again we're talking about the sun. So the sun is rising from one end of heaven and then go around to another end, and nothing is hidden from its heat. So this is the first section. The second section is from verse 8 to, let me see, verse 8 to verse 10. No, sorry. To verse 12. Yeah, to verse 12. Okay, as I mentioned before, this is the okay. This is the consequence. This is like the subordinate clause here. Okay, the law of God is perfect. Is reflecting the soul. The testimony of Lord is sure. The making simple is go over down there. Okay. Then everything that I said up here, yeah, it said that it's more to be desired than gold, and yeah, refined gold sweeter than honey. Okay. And also those things is warning them, and they know that in keeping those things they will got a great reward. Okay, and then we go to the last section. Okay, who will stand there? Okay, and then accuse me from the hidden one. Maybe it's like they don't know what is their error, what did they do wrong. Okay, and then they ask God to help them to know what is hidden. Okay, and then keep your servant from presumptuous. Okay, that those things that the presumptuous one might not rule over me. Okay, so because of this, I will be complete. I will be free from great transgression. Okay, and then the last part here. Okay, like I mentioned before. Okay, may the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted in your face, the Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Okay, then I will continue to the textual criticism. Okay.
Well, okay, here you don't need to really highlight everything, but just focus on the only things that have influenced your exegetical points or insights. And I will just read it through. So you don't need to present all of them.
Okay.
So highlight, a couple of things there.
Okay. Maybe this one. Okay. This one. Okay. Is the work of his hand. Okay. And then in some manuscript, like from the Cairo Genesis, they use this in plural term. And we can see the heaven here is in plural term. Okay, if this one is in plural term, I think the work is not the work of the Lord, but is the work of the heavens. That's why this is in singular. So this is the work of his. So maybe these works belong to God, not to heaven. Yeah, this is the first one, and then. Okay, this is another one. Here in NIV, I think only in NIV and ESV. This one, okay. If you check on Hebrew Bible, this one means line or string or the measurement line, but in Greek and Septuagint, they use this one, which means voice instead of line or string. Okay. In NIV, they choose this one. So the translation of Psalm chapter 19, verse 5 is different. So okay, here. So okay, here. This one, maybe they use the font from Septuagint that translate as voice. So it's their voice went forth in all the earth and there was to the end of the world. Okay. For me, I think it can be voice also, but maybe there are some idea that saying that this voice is like a line, yeah, that go to all the end of the earth. Yeah, this one there. I think this is the only two significant thing I see in this passage. Let me see if there's something. Okay, this one make the translation different also. In Psalm chapter 19 verse 6. Okay, this one path in Septuagint and Syriac they put third person singular suffix also. So this path will become his path, not just path. So that make the translation different also. Some I cannot remember, some versions use only path and some version use his path. I think NIV use his path also. Okay. This is not significant.
Okay, I think that's enough for the textual criticism. So then let's move on to exegetical points.
Actually, I think that exegetical point is that will come from this textual criticism that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, like the first one that I said that it's not the work of, it's not heaven. Sorry. Yeah, this one is not. It's not the work of heaven. It's not. Yeah, it's not the work of heaven because this one heaven is in plural. Yeah, if this one is plural, like in Yasimakas Otakum Awauke, this is not the it's not work of God. It's not, yeah, like that.
Then what is your choice? And how does it affect your understanding?
Yeah, because at the beginning of verse, okay, at the beginning of verse 1, or verse 2, okay. Yeah, the heaven declare the glory of God and work of his hand, and the expression is declaring the work of his hand. So if this one is in plural, yeah, it might be heaven is declaring the work of not of God but of it owns, like of heavens. Do you understand?
It's not really clear. Would you elaborate that part a bit more?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If this one is plural. Okay. If this one is plural, the work, the deeds. Wait, sorry. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, for my understanding, if this work is a construct of plural, okay. If this is a construct of plural, it is not the work of God, but it will be the work of heavens.
Okay, so then the subject is different.
Yeah.
Okay, so then your choice is what?
Yeah, my choice is the BHS here. So this is singular. So it's referring to God, the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I believe your formal understanding was also based on this before. Am I right?
Yes.
So then I don't really want to say that each one has affected you in terms of exegetical points. Although it deals with quite important issue. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I was asking you to deal with some issues like textual criticism or syntactical analysis, especially when you are dealing with exegetical points, then I'm expecting that you are going to bring some significant discussion or elements that are different from your former understanding. Do you understand? So if everything is quite, you know, if everything is the same as before, then what is the significance of doing this study? You know what I'm saying? So even though your understanding is the same, but the what is it, the degree or the level of the expression or the idea is intensified to the degree that you are not really aware, then that's something new too. So it doesn't need to be always, you know, new insights or totally different idea, you know, from what you had previously understood. So do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you need to really highlight the things that have impacted you or influenced you to see something that you have not really paid attention to. So in that sense, what do you want to highlight here? Okay, you did in a word study, you did syntactical issues, textual criticism, and syntactical analysis. But how does your study help you to understand what was neglected, or what was undervalued, what was missed? Do you understand, James, what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand, sir.
So what are the things that you want to really highlight? What is the significance or powerful insight that you got from this passage? Now go for preaching.
Yes, let me think.
James, I think
Yes,
you
sir.
can think about it, but let me tell you this one more time. Why do you need to study those things? And why do you need to engage with those Hebrew knowledge in terms of syntax, textual criticism, syntactical analysis? I like the way you presented today. It's very professional and so easy to follow. I really appreciate it. But the most important part of your research like this is that your research will bring a great contribution to the discussion of some important elements here, the topic. So when we are reading the English version, the translation, we can understand. But how does it really affect you in terms of exegesis? Okay? One more time, it doesn't need to be always new insight, but is there anything that can really touch our hearts or help us to deeply understand what is really written here? Think about it. Okay, is there any question or comments or anything that you want to further discuss regarding the presentation of James? Please go ahead.
Yeah, James, hi. Good presentation. Just something you mentioned early on was the forces of nature taking a feminine form every time. So I think you were talking about the sun, you was always feminine.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so is that like sun, rain, wind, like literally everything like that is always in the feminine, yeah?
Yeah, the natural force, yeah.
Okay, do you know why?
I have no idea.
That's just the rule, yeah?
yeah, that's it in the book.
All right. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, just checking. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good start. Let's continue. Come on, Hebrew scholars, you can do it. Don't worry about your idea, you know. Sometimes being a teacher, I can make a lot of mistakes. You know, sometimes I look at my previous sermons And then I found out that, oh, it's not really correct. And then I was filled with the Holy Spirit and just preached as if it is true. Understandable, we are human beings. So don't too much worry about your idea. So, but we are practicing, okay, in terms of a participation. So that is really important. You need to build up your attitude, okay, to be serious enough. Go ahead. Come on, Hebrew scholars. Kanai is opening the Hebrew Bible. Okay, Phineas.
Yes, actually, Psalm 19 is telling about the law of God, and so when you, it seems like a similar question like Dr. Kim was asking. After when you read this, when you do all those like studies, is there any like a main point or some effect like telling about the meditation of the law of God and something? Do you see some differences or significance we have to take note?
He's still working on it. Then let me ask you this question. Okay, you heard him, Phineas, you heard him presenting. How do you think? Is there anything that you can pay attention to? Answer your question.
Honestly speaking, yeah, I could see that his thorough work on this passage, yet it was really hard to understand the main idea of this. When I just read in English, it's like overall it's telling about meditating on the law of God, but yeah, I'm so sorry to tell, yeah, it was in detail, yet I couldn't
okay,
get the point.
Right. So then, in a sense, that James was not really successful in delivering the idea. So one more time, people will ask this question. Hey, you spend a lot of hours for this, and what is the significance of doing this? And you need to develop it. Sometimes the precious insight, the informations, is there, but and yet you are not really ready to interact with this data and engage with it and develop it to the surface of the simplified understanding as a sermon. So you need to start this research and then build up to the level that people can easily follow you and understand. Okay? So do not simply stay with this basic, process. How can you help James to develop this idea? Anyone? From the data provided by James today? Let me draw your attention to something here. I think it's quite interesting to see Phineas' comments. Phineas said this passage is quite well known in terms of the significance of God's words, His commandment. But I remember that James, you are talking about the pronominal, independent personal pronoun, which is them. So you said that it's not simply about the words of God, but you include the peering, of God, and then there are other parts, right? So then I think it's from verse 8 onward, you just described that there are other subjects. So it's not just about the words of God itself, but it expands that concept to other areas. So in that sense, I think you are clearly presenting the idea that it's not just about God's word, but on the same surface, it deals with other important issues as well. And then the value of keeping those things is also described in the later parts. Okay, it's sweeter than honey, right? And then it's refreshing. So it expands further our idea. So we don't need to remain in the topic of the words of God. Of course, everything is interrelated, but it gives us the further explanation. James, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Then how do you support this idea? What are the other things that are really important as the word of God? What are they? Would you elaborate the subject again?
Yeah. Yes, okay. It's from verse 8 onward. I can share my screen here. Oops. Okay, I think you are talking about this one. So them, right? Okay, here them or they yeah. So it starts from verse 8. It's the law of the Lord, and then the testimony of the Lord, and the precepts of the Lord. The commandment of the Lord, and the fear of the Lord, the judgment of the Lord. Yeah, those are the subject.
Okay.
Right.
Then in light of this, you can just highlight this aspect. When we are interpreting this given passage, there is tendency that we focus on the value of the words of God. But if you really take a close look at this passage, it's not only dealing with the concept of the words of God, but it expands our understanding to another elements, such as fearing the fear of the Lord, and then the judgment of the Lord, and then the commandments of the Lord. Of course, everything is supposed to be understood in a broad picture and topic of the law of God, which is Torah. So the words of God. But it's not simple process of reading the Bible. And what I'm going to do it includes God's commandments and his judgment, and then it also deals with the fear of the Lord. So not simple acts of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible. It concerns other process. Okay, then you can go deeper. What do you mean by the law of God? And then you can just highlight this. And then what is the significance of those elements? And you go deeper, right? And you explain how sweet they are. Okay, so those things are what I'm really expecting. Do you understand? Okay, so that is quite a simple example. Any more question and discussion from the class?
Yeah, I just have another one, James. I just find it kind of interesting that David uses this, like you said, from verse 7 down to verse 11. You got like the instructions of the Lord, the commandments, the fear, the reverence, the laws, all these subjects. And then if you look at them, how David describes them, they're like reviving the soul, making wise, joy of the heart, living, pure, lasting forever, gold, honey. Like these are good things, really good things. And then he jumps in verse 12 and says, and then he starts talking about sin. He says these things are a warning. I find that quite strange, because if you're going to talk about sin, you'd relate sin with disaster and bad things happening, but he's talking about these really great things, and then he suddenly kind of flicks it to sin and said, well, these things are a warning, like about sin, and then he addresses the sin that's in your heart. I find that quite interesting. That's kind of what I really pick up from this psalm here.
Yeah, good point. What you have mentioned helps us to understand the outline of this story. So you understand, in the sense, the syntactical analysis is really helpful, right? Isn't it? So he said, what is it? What are they? The subject, and then what is the significance of those things? And you said it's wise, it's a sweet and all good. Definition or what the consequence of those subject? Are you following me? So when we are dealing with this subject, and why do you need to do this? Then you need to bring our attention to what will happen as a consequence. And then when people are only focusing on this good side, we need to turn our attention to another side. What is the function of keeping God's law? Then it also deals with the concept of sin. Because when we understand God's law, then it deals with the right process of living our life inside of God's eyes. And at the same time, if not, that is a sin too. So it gives us the both sides. Okay, this is good, all right? And then this is bad, warning. So somehow it's a good comparison. So in order for us to be fair, you need to highlight both sides too. Okay, so good point, Pierce. All right, I think we need to stop here and then let's just move on since we don't have enough time. Chikara, you have observed this first man ahead of you. So I hope you will be able to be quite efficient enough in dealing with every aspect in 30 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. What? Oh, sorry. Wait. 의사장 어디? Sorry, wait. I can't share my. Oh, I tried. 밖에 없던 나게로. 왜 이래? 없던 나게로. 아, 그럴까? 아, wait. Oh.
I think this is a good lesson to you, all of you. You need to really practice how to use your Zoom. Okay, so before joining for your presentation, just to take a little time to exercise with your wife or your right. It's coming. Let's go.
Oh, finally. Sorry for.
Finally, yeah, you did it.
And how can I? Okay.
Okay, let's welcome Chikara one more time.
그래? 오토가.
You click on the arrow at the bottom, left bottom, right? And if you want to move, click on it. Then it will turn the page.
Still mute. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, let's go.
Finally. Oh, thank you. Sorry for my technique. Okay. So I'm really excited to have this presentation today, and my passage that I chose is Isaiah 43, verse 1 to 13. So I'm gonna go here. Since actually I didn't know how to share the syntactical analysis, so I put it as the title of each section. So for verse 1, I put the title God's Declaration. Then for this verse, there are 6 verbs, and I put the analysis table, Amar, and I think I don't need to take too much time here. But
yeah, just to skip it. But if you find anything significant, just highlight that one. Okay. But if you don't have any issue, just to let us know your final translation and move on. Okay.
So I'm gonna move.
Then what is your final translation? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanna focus on these 2 verbs. These are the first one here is your creator. It's actually participle form. Better to move back. This one, bara, participle, and yatsar, participle. Both of them are participle form here. And they are appeared in the form of participle, and then both of them represent God. Actually, it's not literal translation. It's the one who is creating you, and the other one is the one who is forming you, like that. And using it's very common expression for especially OT poetry to use this expression, like participle form for representing God, and this is very important expression. So maybe you can find this expression with participles a lot in the OT. And my final translation would be, how can I move? Okay. But now, thus the Lord your Creator said, O Jacob, and your former, O Israel, do not fear, for I redeemed you. I called in your name, you are mine. Actually, I translated do not fear. This one, I thought it's jussive form, so that's why I put it like do not fear. I translated.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. And there's a textual criticism. The first one, A, kala id.
Chikara,
Kala.
do you plan to emphasize everything? But when it comes to textual criticism, just to highlight just a few things that you want to really focus on. Otherwise, it'll consume the most of the time.
Okay. So it changes to just change. Some manuscripts suggest to put the meaning of 2MSG, so it changes the meaning. I called you, and the other one is in your name, but some others says in my name, so they're a little bit different. But I don't think it's big deal. And verse 2, God's protection and presence. These are the verbs, and I don't want to highlight anything. And the final translation would be when you will pass over in the waters. I am with you. I am with you. And in the streams actually, plural form, streams, they will not be burned. And the flame will not burn at you. I skip it. They will not overflow you. When you will walk in fire, when you walk in fire, you will not be burned, and the flame will not burn at you, like that. Okay, the next one. Verse 3, God's declaration and self-introduction. There's only one verb. And the final translation would be, for I am the Lord, your God, the only one of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt as your ransom. This is your, and Cush and Seba instead of you. That. And verse 4, showing God's love and support. Therefore, verbs. I want to highlight these three verbs. These verbs, this verse one, actually this verse is one of the most famous passages in the Bible. So I'm sure that you are very familiar with this verse. Then I think you can find something that is different with what you already know from here, from this analysis table. Could you find it? I think you already find it. Actually, the meaning is maybe a little bit different from what you know, because it says, like the first one, you were precious, and next one, you were honored, and the third one, I loved you. So everything, every verb is in the past tense. So so when I read this passage in Hebrew, I was like, oh God, you meant I was precious and you loved me in the past. Like, because actually this is said to Israel, but I received this as my like personal message. So I realized, wow, it's just past tense. Wow, that's so sad. I felt like that. But so that's why I studied hard. Then I found out a clue to make clear this issue to Hebrew language, issue of Hebrew language. So let me share about it. Actually, the tense in Hebrew words, as we already know, affix represents past tense and prefix represents future tense. Everyone knows, but actually it's not always like that. So it's not that simple. So many times there are like exceptional situation, and the tense is easily changed. So I felt, I thought, why is that so complicated, especially like in terms of the tense in Hebrew. Then I found out the thing is, uh, the perspective of the tense in Hebrews is completely different from the general idea. As usual, when we describe something happened in the past, we naturally think back from present, like this picture. So maybe you can see, when we talk about past, the things happened in the past, we see it from the present to the past, and in the future it's the same. So when we talk about future, the things in the future, we see it from the present to the future. I think it's the general idea, but uh, however, in Hebrews, when a person tries to describe the thing in the past, he speaks as if he were in that era right now. So, like this picture, when they talk about the past, like it's as if like they were in that past right now, and in the future it's the same. So even they're talking about the future, like it sounds like, oh, they're like facing that instant right now. So this is kind of very unique, yeah, unique sense of the Hebrew. So then the keyword is now, I think. So they always talk about like focus on now, right now. So in the past, even in the past, they focus on now, and in the future, the same. So that's why many times we struggle with Hebrew sentence which do not match tense. So this is very when I realized it, it's really understandable for me, and especially when the subject is God, it's a very special case. Since God can do anything and He created this world and even time, God works beyond the boundaries of time. That's why He can do things completely even in the future, and He can do things in the past as if it were still going on. Yeah, it sounds really awkward, but God can do anything, so it's okay for Hebrew, I think. So if, yeah, then okay, back to the verse. So literal translation, these words are like just past tense, but therefore I do not think the meaning of these verbs are not just past tense. Uh, so I translate them in present tense, and actually it's also not just present tense. It's kind of like God loves Israel now in the past, and it still works now, and even now in the future. Do you understand me? Yeah, this is actually very unique understanding. So let's move on. The verse 4. Then the first word of verse 4. This is me ashel. So mem and ashel. In literal translation, this means in that. But sometimes this combination, mem and ashel, functions as a causal conjunction means from that, fact, that, or because, or since. Then I chose since. So the literal translation, the translation would be, since you are precious in my eyes, you are honored, and I do love you, because I is highlighted. So that's why I translate, I do love you, and I will give a man instead of you, and peoples instead of your life, like that. And there is a textual criticism here. The word Adam, a man, in other manuscript, it's like a feminine plural form and appeared. So it became like Adamot. And we, actually maybe it means man, because plural form, but actually, but it's feminine plural, so I don't think it's fit to this word. And also I find that the other meaning, if this form has the other meaning, land or ground, so if the word means this land and ground, the meaning will be totally changed. So it will be like, I will give the land instead of you. So the meaning would be changed. But I think I rather to stay in VHS translation, because for like representing land and ground, there is a edits, the other word, and it's more popular word. And this word is not using this word for presenting land and ground. It's very less frequency. So I think man is better, I think.
Excuse me, Chara, you are just on verse 4, but you have only 10 minutes, so you need to really make sure that you can cover everything within
Okay.
last 10 minutes. Okay? Move on as fast as possible.
Okay. So verse 5, okay, I will move it quickly. God's care and encouragement. There are three verbs. And the translation, do not fear, for I am with you. From the east, I will bring in your offspring, and from the west, I will gather you. Okay, next. Verse 6, God's declaration and order. There are four verbs. And translation, I will say to the north, give up, and to south, do not shut up. Bring my sons from the distant, and my daughters from the end of the earth. Okay, I want to highlight two words here. You see the word bani and benotai, means sons and daughters. They are lined up in parallel. When masculine and feminine are represented by the same opposition, they may express them as a whole, like one whole group. This technique may be used when grouping people. So this is very important. And the next, verse 7, God's calling and creation for his glory. There are four verbs. In translation would be, all, everyone is who is called by my name and for my glory. For my glory, I created him. I formed him. Also, I made him. Yeah. Okay. Next. These are the textual criticism. Yeah. Okay, let's go. God's declaration. There is just one verb, and okay. And according to the verb chart, hoti is affix form for hifil 3msg. As usual, the imperative hifil appears in this way. Hosheb. This is the usual, this one, the hosheb. This is the usual style, but sometimes it changes to form with adding yod in this form. So it's still imperative form, but exactly the same appearance with affix 3msg. In this case, it seems like imperative because if it's affix form, we can find the subject. So it will like this. So this one, bring out a blind people that have eyes and the deaf that have ears.
7 minutes to go.
Okay. And next, God's question and command. And there are a lot of verbs. And I want to highlight only one verb. And this is kabatz, and it's nifal. In many cases, nifal stem represents the meaning of passive, and so it can be translated to they were assembled. And moreover, this is imperative form of kabatz. And exceptionally, there is a case that it drops he and appears in this way. So this is exactly the same appearance with this one, this one. So therefore, it can be also translated to assemble or be assembled in imperative form. Yeah. So my translation would be all the nations be assembled together. So I chose the imperative. And the peoples will be assembled, who among them will declare this and cause us to hear the former thing. Let them give their witnesses, they were righteous, and let them hear and let them say truth. And next, God's choice and absoluteness. There are verbs. Yeah. The translation would be, you are my witnesses, an affirmation of the Lord. And my servant, whom I chose, in order that you will know and believe to me, and you will discern that I am he. Before me, no God was formed, and after me, nothing will be. Like that. And there is a textual criticism. This is and my servant ve abe di, but it is said like it's maybe masculine plural form. So and my servants. I think my servants like plural form is very normal because there is other words to representing them. Witnesses. Oh, witnesses. I think it's plural form, and the object of this word. I think it's almost it's the same position of this word and this servants. So that's why its plural form is more natural. And next, showing God himself as the only one. There's no verb, but this is very unique because there are anoki second time, like refrain, like repeat, anoki. So this is like emphasizing God Himself as the Lord. I am the Lord. Yeah. I am the Lord, and apart from me, there is no Savior. So this is very emphasized sentence. And next, showing God Himself as a Savior. There are 3 verbs. And then translation would be, I surely declare and saved and proclaimed, and there is no stranger among you, and you, my witness, an affirmation of the Lord, I am God. And the last part, showing God's almightiness. Translation would be, even from the day I am He, there is no snatcher out of my hand. I will do, and who will bring it back? So this is my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Chikara. You have your own unique style, which is different from James. Actually, I like the way James presented, but your way is quite well organized and then easy to follow. So yeah, now let's just move on to the further discussion. But Chikara, at the end, you didn't really give us your what is a verdict of your understanding of this passage in terms of new insights or any exegetical significance that you have realized through your study. So what do you want to highlight?
So I want to highlight highlight the thing I already mentioned, like the tense, about the tense, and especially tense of God. When God when the subject is God, or a speaker is like talking about God, God can do anything. So the tense would be easily changed, and it for us it's very awkward, because even though if it's future tense, in the future, it's like sometimes it's appeared in like complete action. So this kind of thing happened in Hebrew word. This is very significant, like characteristic, and actually it's really important for us to know how it is working. And the perspective is very different from us to the Hebrew word. They try to like focus on now always. So that's the really important thing and significant thing, I think.
Okay, thank you. So you're trying to say that from the perspective of God, um, everything is possible, and it has something to do with God's understanding of His people. Am I right? And then you specifically mentioned about the complete action. And I like it. You got a point. And in terms of what is the unique perspective of Hebrew tenses. But let me just also draw your attention from you. Would you stop sharing?
Okay.
So that I can show you something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you remember I sent you one specific article. Can you see it? This is called getting down to the nuts and bolts. Do you remember? It provides a general understanding of Hebrew grammars. So you can just recognize that it even covers something deeper than what we previously discussed and learned in Hebrew 1 and 2. If you look at that part, and then I think it's really helpful. So please just keep the file, and whenever you have questions, please just go and make sure that you understand everything clearly. If you go to page 86 and 7, it deals with usage in a past time frame. But the main topic is the suffix conjugation kata pattern, so which is perfect. So we are talking about perfect tense, but the perfect tense can be used differently. Number one, in simple past. So it's simple past. There is no really big difference between this idea and then what we have learned. But what about in the second part, the past perfect? So it deals with complex action. But our question is the usage in a present time frame or future. Okay, then it helps you to understand another aspect, that the perfect tense or the conjugation can be used in the present time with the nuance of simple present. It says what? It deals with simple present, characteristic present, and present perfect. Even it can be used in the future time frame with rhetorical or dramatic future or future perfect. So it or hypothetical future. But in the case of what you have discussed today, you need to pay attention to simple present. It said a speaker can use the perfect to describe an action that is occurring or a state that exists at the time of the statement. So now, what you have mentioned, from the sight of God, everything is now. That's how it could be understood. So it's not really weird or something strange. So even the idea of perfect tense can be used differently with this nuance. So I want to encourage you to pay attention to this specific material so that you can expand your Hebrew knowledge, okay, in terms of grammar. So it will definitely help you. But I think, Chikara, you got one point there. So from the perspective of God, it is, considered to be occurring right now. And then even as a characteristic present, what is it? The perfect can be used to state factually universal or well-known truths or particular subjects, characteristics, actions, or attitude. In this case, I think it's not really related to characteristic of a present, but we need to think about simple present in terms of what you have discussed before. So now you can clearly understand what is going on there, right? Okay, thank you, Chikara. I want to just open up the time to our students. Please just go ahead if you have any question or comments, any further discussion. One more thing. You included the syntactical analysis there, but I don't really see the main clause and the subordinate clause when you just put the title for each person. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But you put everything on the same level. In the sense, there is no any points of doing syntactical analysis. One of the most main purpose of doing syntactical analysis is to see which clause is the main idea and which one is the subordinate idea, and how many main ideas can be found from those passage. That is important to recognize. Do you know what I'm saying? So for those who are not really presenting today, then you need to bear this in your mind as well. All right, anyone else? Any points? Anything that you want to ask? or comments on?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chikara, the Isaiah 43, actually the English title, it says that it's Israel's only savior. And then when I saw overall, it's like telling about why Israel should not fear. And also today, in your chosen passage, there are two, fear not. Actually, it is repeated in verse 1 and verse 5. It seems like the important significance is there. And then when I read this Isaiah 43, the whole chapter, it seems like there is a reason why the Israel should not fear, and then why God is the reason. Like the from verse 11 for me, from English translation, it seems like it's another division. And so my question is, would you please tell us why you put the division from verse 1 until 13?
Sorry, what's the question? Why I put the
Your presentation, you chose from verses 1 through 13, and so that would you please tell us the reason why your division is like that?
Why I chose this passage?
No, he's asking you about the reason why you just chose the 13 verses while he can still see the continuation of the message. So Phineas is trying to say that it could be even up to what verses, Phineas?
For me, I think it can be cut until verse 10, verse 1 until verse 10, and then it seems like verse 11 to until the last verse, it is telling another division part. But
so then when you're saying another verse, is that from 11 to 28?
Yes, I think it can be also divided like that way. But yeah, I just want to ask that why the division is until 13.
I see, I got it. Thank you. So I think it's just simple because the verse 1, it is said like, actually verse 1, it is started, God's words, it start from verse 1. And actually it, even though it's like continuing until verse 13, it's end one time, and from verse 14 it started again, in my opinion. That's why I thought it's like I should stop here, even though the context is still going on, but the textually it's stopped first. So that's why I thought.
Yeah, that's why it is so much important for you to indicate the main clause and subordinate clause. It definitely helps us to see which paragraph, how many paragraphs, or how many main ideas we have there. I think that's quite a good question to ask. Phineas got a point there. Although I'm not really saying that Phineas' perspective should be right. It could be understood differently, but you need a concrete and solid support for that. Okay? So it doesn't simply mean that whenever you want to just stop there, you stop there, you can stop there. No, you need to have clear understanding of the syntactical flow. Do you understand? Then that should be reflected in your presentation. Okay, then I have a last question, Chikara. What is the main idea of this passage? What is the central focal points of this entire passage? What is the main theme?
I think the main thing is like God's encouragement, because it is like do not fear. That it is started from do not fear, and always says like God, I'm with you, and I love you. I'm always be with you. So do not fear. So it's kind of God's encouragement and God's protection. I think
Okay.
it's the main idea here.
All right, thank you. In my opinion, the authorial intention of highlighting the theme is quite strong in verse 11. As you already pointed out, it was using, the IPP, independent personal pronoun, 2 times. Anoki, Anoki, Adonai, Be'ein, Bi Bale Adai, Moshiach. So it's I, right? Even I am the Lord, and apart from me, there is no Savior. So I think when the passage is going on and on, the main idea is there is none others. I'm the only Savior. Okay? Beside me, there is no others. And this is my observation. That shouldn't, that doesn't need to be a textbook answer, but I'm just giving you some tips to help how to make your study more practical. Then another question, then we will just then conclude. If you preach on this passage, how are you going to divide it? How are you going to deliver the message? What are the main idea? And you just told me that it is about the God's protection and love and care. Then what are the sub topics there? How are you going to preach on it?
So, so the question is, how am I going
Yeah,
to...
what are the significant, maybe 3-point sermon
No,
or 2-point sermons? What are the points
points are like...
that you want to preach based on this passage?
I want to like highlight 3 things. And the first one is encouragement. So do not fear. And the second one is God with you. God is with you. His existence with us. And the third one is God. There is only one God and no other God is there. So
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. One of the reasons why you are a bit struggling to present this kind of idea is because your syntactical analysis is not thorough yet. Although you did a good job in seeing the details, but you need to have a good mapping, okay, the diagramming. That's why it's so much hard for you to put some categories, or some topics under one category. Do you understand? So that is something that you need to definitely deal with. But when it comes to textual criticism or syntactical issues, that is like looking at one tree out of the forest. So when you go deeper, then you can highlight the syntactical issues and textual criticism, to make your point more relevant and effective. But when you designed the research, trying to see how those messages could be categorized under the proper theme, syntactical analysis is quite important. Okay, Chikara, I'm trying to say that you did a good job, but one thing that you missed is to put, make the proper arrangement in terms of main clause and then subordinate clause. But I like your idea. So it's God's care for his people, all right, encouragement. And then what is the reality? And you can move on. God's presence with us. And then the fact that God is the only God. Beside him, there is none other God. So you can just highlight this from this, and it will be really a good sermon. Okay? So even good paper. So yeah, I think as a general evaluation about today's presentation, I think you guys did a good job. but make sure that you handle everything within given time, which is 30 minutes. Okay, because we have only two persons today, and next time we are going to have three. Then how can you manage the time? So you need to really practice. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? So just what is it? Watch a clock, set up the alarm, and then you need to practice. Okay, so that you can present it every point within 30 minutes. Do you have any question? Then let's give a big hands to James and Tikara. Congratulations. Very good. Lastly, I want to say maybe when it comes to exegetical points, it's still somehow, insufficient. One more time, you need to be really intentional in bringing those discussion into the exegetical insights. Do you know what I'm saying? So whatever you study about and whatever you found, please make sure that they will be reflected on your discussion of exegetical significance. And we will appreciate it much. So I'm going to see you next Tuesday. And if you want to join the chapel, you're welcome to join and raise your hands and intervene, and just pray for me until that I finish my preaching. Okay. All right. So see you. Bless.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Sir.